Welcome to the Gaming Outsider Podcast. This week, we're debating whether or not online gaming has ruined the multiplayer experience. In news, Nintendo sold quite a few Switch 2s, which broke some records, and it sounds like the original Silent Hill is getting the remake treatment. We also played a bunch of new games, including Mindseye and Chronicles of the Wolf. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com, facebook.com/groups/thegocast, or on our Discord server. There's a link for it in the show notes of this very episode, and I hope you do join it. Today is Tuesday, June 17th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends. First off, Mr. Zach Parkerson. How you doing, sir?
Welcome to the show where we hit the hard-hitting questions like, who came first, Geico or Gex?
Yes, we were having this conversation before we started recording about the marketing material for the Gex trilogy, which released today, as of this recording, mentioned the Geico. I'll get it right. And we were trying to determine if Geico was even around when Gex was released, and he was not. What did you say, 2003?
2000's when Geico showed up, and 95 was Gex.
So 5 years.
First. Yeah. And
anyway,
fun fact, I had a pet gecko when I was a kid. Guess what? Very unoriginally named him Gex.
I like that. Also joining us, the guy responsible for this whole conversation, Mr. Jacob Gunnarsson. How's it going, man?
Thanks, Scott. I'm Jacob Gunnarsson. Are your kids getting asbestos from controllers? The truth might surprise you. More at 11.
Asbestos from your controllers? Okay. There you go. Well, let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about this week. Jacob, what have you been catching up on?
Mindy got me this thing for Father's Day. I'm going to show you guys because I don't want.
It's called a Switch 2.
No, it's called a game console. I don't know. It's model number R36S. It's from China, but it's literally called the game console. But it's got 21,000 preloaded old games on it.
Oh yeah?
No, sounds illegal.
That sounds very illegal from China. Yeah. So a bunch of old games from very old arcade cabinets and the original NES systems, some Japan only releases and all that kind of stuff. So I mean it's been fun. I've been playing a lot of Sega on it and whatnot. And playing
any standouts?
Than like,
correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you just get a Switch 2 as well? Wrong. You didn't get a Switch 2?
I
all right. I'm just saying your wife is spoiling you for Father's Day. Are you even that good of a dad?
Wow. And yes, she got me a Switch 2, and I'm very thankful. But there's a whole story behind where she agreed to buy the Switch from Scott and then forgot and then got me another gift. So she just gave me both.
Oh,
wow. That's some lady you got there, man.
Yeah, she is. As much hell as I give her, she's a great lady.
And she's one hell of a cook. I can say from experience, even if she does mix her spaghetti and noodles together.
As you should. Saves time.
Right.
Wow.
Anyway, Zach, what about you, man? Anything you've been catching up on?
I got to catch up on some Mindy cooking soon. Continue to play UFO 50. I have 2 gold cartridges now.
What does that mean? You complete the
Basically
game?
Beat it, yeah. So each game has a gold condition, which seems to be just beating it, and then it has a cherry condition where you kind of beat it in a specific parameter or kind of 100% it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the gold on Barbuta and on Magic Garden. That game's a blast.
Need to get this.
I'm thinking about you an awful lot while I'm playing it, Scott.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It just seems like you would like it. You own every NES game.
I do.
I was going to say, isn't this the one that's got like a bunch of non-consensual games, but that's not.
Uh-oh. Wow.
No,
you can't
random games.
That's the other website.
No, stop.
Yeah. This is a collection of games released for the fictional console from 1982 to 1989.
I forgot.
It's fun. It's like 50 new NES games for you to discover, Scott.
Once my plate is clear, I am going to pick it up. I promise you.
Yeah.
His plate is never clear. I promise.
It is. It is tough in our backlog era to sign up for 50 more games sent to your backlog.
Right.
But for instance, I beat Barbuda in like 40 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well,
Like they're NES length.
but then there are some like hardcore RPGs in there too, aren't there?
Right. I think there's like a 12-hour JRPG, but just don't play that one yet.
Right. Start with something simpler.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be the year of JRPGs.
I mean, 2 down, 1 to go for in terms of Final Fantasy.
Wow.
And
for you, yeah.
Brandon, if you were listening, I promise I'm going to get back to Final Fantasy Renaissance. I promise. He actually texted me and said, "Hey, how about we like do a?" He wanted to do like a Google Meets and just like walk me through the part I was stuck at last. And I was like, "Dude, it's not like I hit one thing that really pissed me off, but it's more of other things that I have to cover, and it's I that's what I want to get back to, but
yeah,
overcommitted myself as usual."
Yes, you've yet to learn the power of the word no.
I know.
It's been years.
Mhm.
And then I also played a game called Faith. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Gotta have it.
I disagree.
Gotta have faith.
Oh Lord. Anyway, it's a horror game, kind of styled like an Atari game.
What?
Yeah.
This is not the one I'm thinking of, because I had my eye on a game called Faith for a while that I thought looked really cool. It was pixelated, but it was like a horror 2D side scroller type game. This
is a 2D top down game. The graphics just seem very like almost Atari or NES era.
Really? Okay.
Uh-oh.
What platform?
He's looking it up.
I'm playing it on the Nintendo Switch. It's also available for Steam. It's published by New Blood Interactive, if that helps you during your Googling.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it's like a top-down horror game. There's 3 of them. I think you can only buy them together. But anyway, I beat the first one. It was like an hour long. It's pretty cool. They managed to sell you on the atmosphere with such limited graphics, and they intersperse it with like rotoscoped cutscenes. These kind of hand-drawn images that are pretty eerie, actually. I really liked them.
Yeah, this is not the game I was thinking of. There is a completely different game that I thought that when I saw this in the format that I thought you were going to talk about. But
really?
This does look like a step above Atari, just a slight step above Atari.
There's another Faith.
I guess there's a lot of Faith out there. This game is pretty simple. Like when the monsters, there's like one monster that comes at you, or 2, I guess, and all you have to do is hold up a crucifix to keep them at bay. Basically, it's very simple. You're playing as a priest, and you're going to a house where an exorcism went bad, and the family got killed, and I don't know. It was really good. I was surprised.
The game I was thinking of is called The Last Faith. Which
that's like a side scroller game, right? Where you're like with really brutal finishers and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like it's like when that's what I thought the game was when you had it here, and I was all excited. But
I was excited when I played this. Played it for Summerween.
Yeah,
which we celebrated in our house. Carved a watermelon.
Summerween.
Yeah, it's just an excuse to do summery Halloween stuff. Like we made s'mores on our grill.
Oh, as in not Halloween, Summerween. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
we made jack-o'-melons, dude. We carved watermelons.
Halloween never ends at my house.
Yeah.
Scott, you've been to my house. You've seen all the creepy things I have on my hutch.
That's true.
A lot of creepy stuff in this house, too.
Yeah,
anyway.
Sure. Anybody who loves Halloween should have creepy stuff in their house.
Sure. Yeah. My wife loves that stuff. She's all about dead things. Things.
You said she was like collecting small animal bones or something.
Right. Yeah. She's cleaning some bones right now.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that why is that why the camera's shaking?
Yeah, that's why I'm smiling over here.
Moving on. Zach, is there anything else you've been playing?
Yeah, the last thing I've been playing this week was Laika Aged Through Blood.
Oh, please tell me this is good, because I want to play this so bad.
Dude, this game is awesome.
Yeah.
Exceptional, even. Yeah, this is, for anybody not familiar, it refers to itself as a Motorvania because it is a gear-gated game where you're on a motorcycle the whole time. But it is, so like, think about Trials mixed with a Metroid game.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty sweet, man.
But isn't there also like an aiming reticle, like while you have to like do slow-mo and move the aiming reticle to shoot things while you're in midair? And
right, yeah. So there's ramps everywhere. You're doing when you aim, you go into bullet time. So it's nice like get these slow motion revolver shots off. You're killing the evil birds who are just straight up Nazis. killing. You have to do backflips to reload your gun,
Not seen
Nice.
those.
which is pretty cool. You can parry bullets back at them by kicking your bike into bullets and knocking them back at the enemy.
Science.
Yeah, dude,
Science.
pretty awesome. And the story is bleak as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, spoilers for the first minute. So fast forward if you want to, but within the first minute, you see a disemboweled child hung up by his own entrails.
Holy cow! A child?
Yeah, dude, that's how the game starts.
Wow.
Yeah, so things don't get cheerier from there.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
But it's fun too. I heard it's really difficult.
It is it's very it is definitely difficult. It is.
Mhm.
It's not a game you're going to kick back and relax with. You really don't need to focus in, I guess. But that's fine. That's fine for me.
Or as the young kids say, lock in.
Yeah, I was avoiding trying to say that. But the bosses are all cool so far because they because you die in one hit, against small enemies to kind of keep that trials difficulty.
Mhm.
So when you crash your bike, you die right away. But it means that you have to kind of kill the bosses in one go. So it's pretty tricky. But there's always like ramps and stuff. Or like one of them was like a caterpillar you had to like chase. You had to like run away from on these ramps and shooting bad guys on the way while you're also shooting this thing down. It felt very cool.
So like if you die, does it start you like right before the boss? Then you just got to do the whole boss battle again, or you got to like make your way to the boss?
No, just right in the boss room.
Okay. At least you got that, but
yeah, so getting back there would be annoying. And when you die, normally you lose like half of your currency, and then you have to like wherever you died is where there's like a sack of your currency, and you just have to, fight your way back to it basically, or shoot
Dark
it.
Souls.
Kind of like Dark Souls, but they remove that for boss battles. Thank God.
Oh, so it's just always there for you.
Well, it just doesn't penalize you for death during
That's
bosses.
Good. Nice.
Yeah. Other than restarting. Yeah, so I'm really loving it. The story, top notch.
Really?
As long as you like, bleak fiction, I guess.
I do, especially my video games.
Yeah. I've yet to find a shred of hope in like Age Through Blood. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, just it's getting darker and darker. Also, shout out when you park your bike to get off to visit towns and stuff, you park it at a hitching post. Just thought that was cool. Yeah.
Of course. Anything smells like a Western accent.
Yeah. Hey man, in the store description they say Western inspired. So
that's really why you bought it.
Yeah.
Now, if there's a physical version of this, would that deserve a spot in Pixel Ranch?
I would say through the themes of what I've played, yeah, it does. It feels like a Western. Yeah, and actually I already ordered it from Super Rare Games.
Did you?
Release.
Nice. All right, well, let's go ahead now and jump into the week's news.
Scott Heavy.
All right, this weekend news, we got a lot of things on the GamingOutsiders.com website. If you get a chance, head over there. We've got all kinds of articles related to a bunch of games, including Bloodstained, The Scarlet Engagement. There was Mads Mikkelsen as a Bond villain in the Hitman crossover. Speaking of Hitman, the collaboration in Mindseye, Dying Light, The Beast, Ninja Gaiden, Ragebound, Origiment, the paper adventure, Deck of Haunts, Nightmare DLC, Pipistrello, and the Curse Yo-Yo, which looks awesome, by the way.
Dude, have you played the demo for that?
I haven't. Is it good?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It is like, you know how they rate them on Steam? It is like overwhelmingly positive or whatever. Like there's hardly been any negative reviews of that game.
I mean, it feels like a Game Boy Color Zelda straight up.
Right. Also, Mio, Memories in Orbit, and Hollow Home. Check out that game. That is a game that is made by people, I believe, in Ukraine, or it's about like surviving Ukraine during this time in our political climate. It just is kind of crazy. Also, we got a new trailer for, as of this morning, I saw this trailer, Golden Tee Arcade Classics coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC, digitally July 17th, and then a physical version in October. I haven't played Golden Tee in a minute, but I feel like playing that without a trackball just seems weird and wrong, but I don't know. Outside of that, the Nintendo Switch 2 is the biggest console launch in U.S. history. Steam users finally defeat Sony over PSN requirements. There is a remake of 1999 Silent Hill in development, and there is a new app coming from Apple called Apple Games. Jacob, what story would you like to talk about?
Steam users finally defeat Sony.
All right, talk to us
So
about it.
so you no longer need a PSN account in order to buy and play most of the PlayStation games on Steam,
Mhm.
which means countries that didn't have access to the PSN can now play those games on Steam. The move was announced in January and is finally coming to fruition.
Why does that take so long?
That's a good question.
Bureaucracy,
Yeah, I guess.
red tape.
What's weird
I
about
feel-
some of it, like a games like Helldivers, they were selling it in those countries and then they changed their mind. That's so annoying if you live in these countries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's so annoying to change it after the fact. Like all these people have been playing the game, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you need a PSN account."
Well, especially with a game like Helldivers, where that's kind of a strike while the iron is hot kind of game, right? Where you want to you keep up with the Joneses, and there's a like a continuous story going on, and you cut off a certain country's access for 5 months.
Yeah,
right.
It's not as cool anymore. I'm not knocking the game. I don't play the game. I haven't played it, but it just seems like you kind of missed the boat if you weren't there at the beginning. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't understand, why are there countries that don't have PSN?
I don't know. Like,
I mean,
this is a thing we don't have to deal with, right? I feel like we don't have any limitations ourselves here in America. Like,
unless you're in Texas, right?
Unless you're in Texas.
Yeah, because they banned Pornhub.
Oh well, I didn't know that. How do they ban you from websites in Texas?
It would be IP address, right? Wouldn't it? I guess you'd have to use a VPN to get around it if you need that stuff. We all need that stuff. Anyway,
I just didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, dude. Come on, man. Keep up with the. These are the important news that they're burying with these.
I was going to say
all these wars and stuff is just
a whole lot of stuff going on in the news. Like, those kinds of websites were not on my radar of things that are coming across my news feed. But
you're welcome, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Keeping you up to date.
Zach, what story would you like to talk about, sir?
Yeah, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 biggest console launch in U.S. history. It sold 1.1 million units at launch, beating the PS4's record. I thought it was fun that 80% of the people bought it also bought Mario Kart World, because what else would you buy?
I feel like that's a weird thing, right? There's a weird thing to brag about.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting stat nonetheless, but yeah, what else are you going to play?
What did the other 20% buy it for?
Oh, apparently for Cyberpunk 2077 and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the second and third best-selling game, respectively.
Yeah. Go
100% of PS4 buyers also bought a DS4. DualShock 4. It's a controller.
Oh,
it came with the system. It came with the system. Shut up.
I do think it's interesting that a years old Switch game is the third best-selling Switch 2 game at launch.
Mm-hmm.
Really speaking to unavailability.
I mean,
it's also the biggest console launch in Nintendo's homeland of Japan, and I think since I wrote this article, it's just the biggest console launch worldwide right now as well.
It was 3.5 million in 4 days.
Yeah,
which, man, I had this whole post I wrote out, and I got some people upset with me on some social media platforms because I made the comparison to the Steam Deck, which I know is not a one-to-one comparison, but I didn't know this, but the Steam Deck has sold something like 3.7 million units in its lifetime.
Wait, but isn't Steam Deck sales information just a guess because Valve is a private company and they haven't shared that?
I don't know. I didn't read that far. Okay. I just took I looked up what has I Googled what has the Steam Deck sold.
Fair enough. But yeah, I know. I mean, that's impressive nonetheless.
Right. And I'm genuinely shocked by that number because of how much negativity went into this launch leading up to it. I mean, you were talking how people at work were like, yeah, I'm not, there's no way. There's just no way. So is it a deal where the sales are so high because it's popular or because Nintendo waited another year and ramped up production and had plenty available at launch?
Yeah, that's what I'm taking away from the story is that like they finally figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think them waiting or what have you, they defeated the scalpers because this is the biggest launch in history. And then you and I both knew people who just walked into the store and bought them on launch day.
Right.
So yeah, they must just have units available, which is super. That's awesome.
Right.
I wish other Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, will it happen again? Because that's kind of been their MO, is to like have this scarcity to make everybody fighting over it, right? And so people kind of expected there to be a scarcity. I mean, when Jake and I went to pick up his, there's a line around the block.
Oh, okay.
Which, by the way, I don't think I told you this when we talked about it. We felt kind of douchey because we had a pre-order and all those people in line were there hoping to get one left. And we walked right past the line and we're like, is this the pre-order line? And there was literally nobody in line for the pre-orders. So we walked past the entire line.
Hey, man. That's what you get for playing ahead.
Well, here's the thing, though. We were like, Jake brought like flyers for R2V2 and the Gaming Outsider QR codes and stuff. And we were going to pass these out while we're standing in line. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to go try to pass out flyers about the Gaming Outsider people after we just skipped the line. There's no way.
No, I would review bomb us if I were they.
Right. So I don't know. I
look at these guys. They're flaunting their Switch 2 in our face.
Right.
That's all I can think is that this has to be that they, like you said, they figured it out. They took their time. There was no hurry to release this thing. They released it during not E3 week, not E3 weekend, which was a bold strategy, Cotton, and it worked.
Yeah,
it totally worked. Like I just never thought that would happen. That would be as successful, and they took a chance, and it worked out, panned out for them.
Yeah, I'm super curious what the tail on this thing will be since there are no games. But I guess the PS5 proved that people don't want games, I guess, for their console.
Yeah, is it a FOMO thing? Is it, keep up with the Joneses? But it can't just be hardcore gamer nerds like us. There has to be some, parents that were buying it for their kids kind of situation, right?
Well, I mean, it's a Switch, so I mean, it's a family product, right?
I don't think a $450 console is a family product. No,
that's my point. That was a lot of the complaints I heard from people that have kids that already have a Switch 1 that are like, there's no way I'm paying $450 for something that's not going to let them play any new games besides Mario Kart. We have Mario Kart at home.
Well, I think if I were a
Mario Kart at home, not good.
Parent, it's a pretty easy sale to be like, well, for the same price, I can just get them caught up to like, the modern tech, I guess you would say. Where like you get them a PS5 or an Xbox Series console, yeah.
But you got to think, for like every voice out there that says I'm not going to buy it, there's got to be one out there that says I am going to buy it.
For sure. Well, there's always the voice of the people screaming I'm not going to buy it, who are definitely going to buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a parent could just be like, you know what? How about we go buy you 2 brand new games instead? Like that for your Switch 1 or for your Xbox or for your PlayStation.
Tide you over.
Right. Like, because again, I like Mario Kart World. I don't like it for $500.
No. Yeah. It's not quite like Breath of the Wild, is it? Where like it was, $360 and I was like, worth it. I've never played anything like this.
Exactly.
Or every Monster Hunter game to me.
Sure, of course.
I have bought 4 consoles just for Monster Hunter games. So
I get it, dude. I upgraded my phone once so I could play a Tomb Raider mobile game. So I understand.
Scott was giving me such like a disgusting look right there.
No, it wasn't disgusting. Look, it was just I'm trying to think if there was a Monster Hunter game that was a launch title on a console that I thought you were making that connection. So that like it is Monster Hunter isn't a system seller in the sense that it's only available on a certain platform.
It was just for me. So like they announced, like I hadn't bought a Wii yet, and then they announced Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii, and so when Monster Hunter Tri came out, I went and bought a Wii and the game and left.
It was only available on that platform.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
I did the same thing with the 3DS, the PSP, and the Switch.
Nice.
So
shout out to the 3 best-selling games being full games on cartridges, not game key cards or game downloads. It's just important.
That is first party, correct? That's doing the deal where it's just Nintendo.
Doing what?
The negative of what you're saying, like where it's not
game key cards. No, it's everybody else.
Oh, it's Nintendo does have it on there, but
yeah,
the third party is
and Cyberpunk paid for the extra cartridge fee. But yeah, like a lot of third party publishers, like NAS America just announced that the next Trails game is coming to Switch 2, but it'll be a download key card.
So why even buy the physical? Like you're just paying for the box in terms of owning something physical.
I guess so. Or, well, you can loan it to your friend, I guess. there's some ownership there, and you could sell it back to a store because someone else could go, as long as you have that cartridge.
It's its own individual DRM.
Yeah, it's a
basically.
DRM. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Hey, speaking of,
so there's
I
some
learned
value some value to ownership, but no value whatsoever to game preservation or
right.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we didn't really talk about this last week, but or when we talked about the Switch 2, but the Switch 2 has this feature. Remember we talked about the game packs? It's like the digital version of cards. So if you own a digital copy of a game, even like your Switch 1 games, which all of that gets transferred over to your Switch 2 when you open up your Switch 2. Like you can't even start up your Switch without it saying, "Are you transferring over your Switch 1?" And then it takes about 5 minutes to transfer over your profiles and everything. And then you now have available, like on the Switch 1, if you did a transfer, you would just have to go to the eShop and find your game and re-download it, right? Okay. Now what they do, they have an extra tab at the bottom of the Switch menu that says, here's what's in your game pack library. And you pick the game and it does this little animation of like inserting a game pack into your Switch. And that's how you install it. So you install it, you basically have all of your available games in one spot.
Oh, yeah. Didn't they talk about that? Because you can like loan your digital copies out now.
Mm-hmm. Right. But here's the catch to that. I thought that seemed like a really cool way to do it. There are two catches to that. Number one, you can only loan games, unless I'm mistaken, you can only loan games to people that are in your family plan. So if you have a Nintendo Switch, I think they did
mention that. Yeah.
Okay. So my family plan, we've got me and 7 other people.
Right.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to try this out. Chris Owens bought a Switch 2 the same day, but he did not buy the what's that little $10 packet, the welcome tour. And I was like, dude, don't pay the $10 for this. It's worth checking out, but I'll just loan you my copy and I want to test out this thing. So I went to loan it to him. Now I can do it, but I can't do it across the internet. I have to be in proximity of his Switch in order to be able to do that. Which
they also mentioned that when they announced it. Yeah.
Okay. So I did not remember that, and I get why. We're the way we're using that family plan, none of us are actually related, right? We are all splitting the cost of that.
You my brother.
Nintendo's gonna kill you.
But like I can't loan something to Zach unless I ship him my Switch 2, and then that's not gonna work.
Which is how you would have to lend me a game anyway, right? You'd have to ship it to me.
Right, but I don't want to ship you my console because then I don't have my console for a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you only get it for 14 days anyway. So by the time
Okay. So this is how you do it. Pack it up, leave it in the case and everything, send it to him. He gets it there. You leave
Return to sender.
Return to sender. He just takes it. He gets it for 14 days for free, and then
just bring my Switch 2 close to the package.
Yeah,
and right. Like RFID it or whatever.
Yeah,
that's not a bad idea.
I'm still without my Switch for a week.
Yeah, I don't care.
In transit.
That's your problem. Send it next day. It'd be fine. Get it back in like 2 days.
Did you get enough to play anyway?
Oh. Right. I didn't tell you, Jake. We should have talked about this in the games we've been catching up on, but we did try the online for Mario Kart World. Jacob, myself, and Paul Hine. We didn't talk about this last week, did we?
I don't think so.
This is news to me.
Okay, so we decided to try this. It was actually, I believe, after we recorded, so it might have been like right after we were done. We hopped on.
Yeah, it was right after last week's episode, actually.
And so, a couple things. First off. And I'm assuming this is going to be fixed, but on the Switch 2, you know how like on Xbox or PlayStation, you start a party chat or whatever, and anybody can join and just like kind of join, or you can invite them in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't work that way on Switch 2. You have to create your party. You have to know exactly who's in your party, and then nobody can be added. If you want to like add somebody, you have to all back out of that chat.
Classic Nintendo.
And then like go re-party up and do it all again, which is stupid. That is so stupid. I have to imagine that's going to be fixed because that's like an online staple, right?
I mean, it should be.
It's Nintendo, man. I would not hold your breath that it will be fixed.
My question is, was that an intentional thing to like not let just anybody come into it? Like just have it just for your friends.
An intentional thing?
Oh my God. Here's the cool part, though. Once we got that set up, it took us a second to figure out how to do the lobby and get in the games. It's not that difficult. It's just foreign when you're used to doing it how you're used to doing it on Xbox and PlayStation. Once we got it set up, It was super fun. And I don't know how you were doing it, Jacob, but I wasn't using headphones. I just was doing it through the speaker on my Switch.
Yep.
Switch 2, excuse me. So not only was I hearing the game noise through the Switch, I was also hearing Jacob and Paul. And Paul was saying, "Hey guys, I'm really sorry. I don't know if it was a air conditioner or something running right next to him. Dude, I could not hear it at all.
That's good.
Nope.
Like and that's something that they go over in the welcome tour is how they like block out that noise. It worked incredible. Not only that, but I was hearing spatial audio, and I did not have headsets on. So like when a car would go past me, I could kind of hear it do that. I don't know what you call it. Yeah.
The Doppler effect.
The Doppler effect. Thank you. I could not think of the term. That was there. It's insane how well that worked. Like I kind of would rather play that game that way as opposed to using headphones, which I can't remember the last time I said that. So anyway,
Interesting.
Also, I would really like to get together a group of people. What can you do? Like 8 or 10 people at once? I really want to get a big group of people and just go nuts.
You can do nuts.
That would
It's
be
a large group.
be fun. Anyway, so a couple things I wanted to mention as well. I'm going to cheat and do 2 just because this one there's very little information to talk about. But Silent Hill
he gets 2
from 1999 is getting a remake, much like Silent Hill 2 did. In fact, Bloober Team is doing it.
Right.
We assume it's going to be a long ways out, but it is happening. What is it with remaking these horror franchises that they just remake them in weird orders? Didn't they do 2 and then 3?
Popularity.
Are we talking about Resident Evil?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they just don't. Well, they ignore the first one.
Well, they did the first one on GameCube, so I guess that would be the excuse.
Lovingly called remake.
Right.
Back in
I don't know. That is weird. I would have preferred them to remake Silent Hill 3 because I love Heather.
It's going to happen. I mean,
yeah. Well, I guess Silent Hill 3 is a pretty direct sequel to Silent Hill 1, so maybe they want to make sure that story is out there before they do
maybe that's why they're doing it this way.
Yeah.
But man, Silent Hill 2 is so good. If they can bring that level of quality to 1,
right?
Was that like really quick guitar intro in the second one, or was that only in the first game? Because that's just like very iconic Silent Hill music to me. You know what I'm talking about?
I thought it was. I don't remember. Sorry,
I remember it in 2. Like it wasn't a standout to me. But that first game, I played that first game a lot. That used to creep the hell out of me, and I played it through multiple times. Got the UFO ending and all that stuff.
I remember it being fairly short, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're really gonna have to stretch that one out. They already bloated Silent Hill 2 into twice the length.
It's gonna come with a battle pass.
No,
2 was great though, man. I really enjoyed 2.
Yeah,
I was not bothered by the length of that game. That was probably like a good 25 hours or something like
that. Yeah, something like that. I wasn't bothered either. I was just saying it. It is twice the length or more of the original version.
And I remember, I feel like it because you were only in Silent Hill. There wasn't even like how like in Resident Evil games you always wind up in like a laboratory in the basement or something like that.
Of course, there's always a secret lab in the basement.
Right. I don't feel like it was just in different parts of the city, which you knew like most of the geography of Silent Hill.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I'm stoked for that. Anyway, the other story I wanted to mention was this app coming from Apple called Apple Games. I was curious how you guys feel about this because I know none of us really play mobile games a whole lot, and I wonder if that is because we are just so dedicated to consoles and PCs that I've been playing a lot more mobile games recently. I had a subscription to Apple Arcade for a while because I had a 3-month trial or whatever. I was given 3 months when I made a purchase at Best Buy for something I can't remember. And I finally cashed it in and used it, and it's about to expire, which is a bummer because I was enjoying some of the games on there. But the thing that I feel like part of this whole story has come about because of the issue that happened recently where Apple lost to Epic, right? And Epic, so they have to allow them to do their own proprietary apps or whatever so they can get all the benefits if they want to. So Apple's answer now is to basically make their own Apple Games app, which is actually a really cool idea in theory, because even if you use Apple Arcade games, you have all of those apps on your phone. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you could put them in a folder if you wanted to, but the Apple Games app will allow you to see all of your Apple games in one spot. So they're basically doing what they're forced to allow Epic and other companies to do, create their own app to purchase, organize, and keep track of their games, which I think is funny. This thing that they were fighting against in court and lost, and they just said, okay, guess what? We're going to do it then.
They've welcomed the new reality, you're saying?
Right. It was like they just gave up the fight and did the if you can't beat them, join them attitude. And I thought that was worth mentioning. So, yeah. But again, from experience, I have a folder on my phone that's just games, and I try to keep them in there. But when I got the Apple Arcade games, for whatever reason, I just never went and dragged them. And now I know they're on like my second page. And again, if I just had that one app in my folder of games, then I could go through my Apple. I don't know. Well, it's kind of a good point, because then you don't remember which games you have, because you like looking at the icons, right? So it's the old like Netflix, Hulu, Disney problem of like, which app is that game that I want to play? So
I don't know, dude.
You guys are looking at me like I'm thinking about this way too hard.
You are thinking about it way too hard.
I keep all the games in my games folder, and when I want to play a game, I go to the games folder.
You had made a comment about having all of your games in one file, and then you were like, I'm gonna get rid of all the games in the file and then put the Apple Games app in the file. Why would you put the Apple Games in the file? It's already its own stop.
Well, there's going to be
way too much.
Yeah, nonsense. Okay. Maybe it's not worth talking then. Maybe it's not worth talking.
So what? Google's going to come back with like Stadia 2, and then the console wars are going to be PlayStation, Xbox, Google, and Apple. Like,
not going to happen. It's not going to happen. All right. Well, that's it for the week's news. Let's go ahead and move on before we get to the games that we've been playing, the new games we've been playing. Jake, tell everybody about what R2V2 is.
Oh, God, you scared me. Yes, R2V2.
Every week, man. Right there.
This is a new thing. You dropped it on me once, and now I'm not ready for it. Anyway, for those of you that are new here, the Rock River Valley Video Game Convention, or R2V2 as we've been talking about it now, is our convention that we hold in Rockford, Illinois. We, with the help of local businesses, Rockford Go, and some of our friends, we bring musicians, developers, collectors, and players together under one roof. This year's convention is October 11th, and we're selling tickets for $10 right now until July 14th. Why are things? Scott killed himself. So yeah,
you don't want
to. So Scott did not hurt himself. Scott's computer is dying.
For audio listeners, Scott did not kill himself.
Yeah, for our audio listeners, Scott is fine.
But I don't know how to. I don't know how to press the new games button thing.
Oh, maybe let's see if Scott's gone.
So if you have the oh boy, well, luckily this is the first time anything like this happened around the live show.
This is not the first time. But anyway,
the first time when I'm here.
If you're still here, thank you for sticking around with our technical difficulties.
Hey,
that is not.
Well, I can just talk about the new games that are coming out.
Well, let's. Should I just start pushing buttons?
I don't recommend it. Jacob, it's gonna be okay.
There he is. Welcome back.
Hey Scott, press the new games button.
I was about.
Well, that was an adventure, wasn't it? That was fun.
What did you do?
Zach.
Let's talk about the new games that are coming out, huh? June 24th. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. This is the roguelike, kind of Hades-like TMNT game that came out on PlayStation earlier this year and Switch last year. Anyway, it's finally coming to Xbox Series consoles and Xbox One. It's supposed to be very, very good. I wish I liked the Turtles more. On June 25th, Once Upon a Puppet makes its way to Nintendo Switch. I Am Your Beast, the next game from Strange Scaffolds, which somehow puts out like 4 games a year. It comes out on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. Persona 5 The Phantom X is a mobile game starring the Persona 5 crew that just won't go away. Coming to PC, iOS, and Android. Then on June 26th, we have the System Shock 2 25th Anniversary Remaster coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. Death Stranding 2 is the next Hideo Kojima game, so you can simulate your walking accurately on the beach, coming to PS5. Roughly in the Riverside is an interesting looking platformer coming to everything, dude. It's coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch, and PC. And then Front Mission 3, with the Mech Tactics game, is getting remade for Nintendo Switch. And then Until Then, which is a visual novel that won a bunch of awards and stuff, I think last year, coming to Nintendo Switch. Scott, what I assume System Shock?
No, dude. I tried to play the original remake, the System Shock 1 remake, and for me personally, it felt like a game that unless you played the original, it was not going to resonate well with you. It was very old school to me.
Right. I was going to say, well, it was like it was just like looked better, right? Like all the underlying code was the original game.
I don't know. I didn't play the original to be able to tell you, but I talked to Kevin, our producer, about it, and he said that yes, at the time the game was freaking amazing, but by today's standards, it feels like an old game. So I feel like there's no need for me to do 2 because I don't really even know the story. I totally missed on that whole thing. So no,
That's
but
I thought Ken Levine is involved in System Shock 2, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Is there any relation? Is that System Shock, BioShock? Is that how?
Yes. So, well, that's where the name comes from. Yeah.
Okay. I always assumed that was the case, but the little I played of System Shock, it didn't feel like anything like BioShock at all. So,
well, maybe it's like System Shock 2.
Oh man, don't tell me that.
Anyway,
no, but
saying.
For me, Ruffian the Riverside, I reviewed the demo back when that came out months ago, and I thought it was very, very charming. So I'm looking forward to giving that one a shot.
What about you, Jacob?
I Am Your Beast looks really good, but I hear that that's already out for computers, so I might have to go buy that. But the Front Mission 3 remake might tide me over until Front Mission 4 gets a remake, or I finally find a copy of it.
They're doing a 1x1.
Oh, I just need to wait.
Yeah, because they already did 1 and 2, so presumably, I don't know. I don't know what System 4 was on originally.
PS2.
Yeah, well, that might be harder. Anyway, as for me, I Am Your Beast for sure. Strange Scaffold. These are the guys that made El Paso Elsewhere and Click Holding, two very interesting games. They make interesting things. And I Am Your Beast kind of looks like a Click Holding.
Click Holding. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You're just in a motel room with a guy clicking a switch for him, and I've
come so close to buying that game. Just because I've heard people talk about it on podcasts, and I'm like, all you're doing is pressing one button or clicking one button, but I just got to see.
Dude, it's a fantastic way to spend like 2 hours.
Yeah,
yeah, it's over. It's pretty short and sweet. Instead of watching a movie one night, just play Click Holding.
Does it have like a satisfying ending? Does it go interesting places, or is it just the same thing over and over?
No, it is interesting, I think.
Okay, all right,
yeah,
fair enough. Well, speaking of interesting, I am really intrigued, Zach, to hear you talk about Mindseye, which you're playing on PS5. I know it's available on Xbox and PC as well, but holy cow, this game has been just talked down by... I've not heard anybody say anything positive about this game. And then you come around and post that you got the platinum on the game this past week. So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this because you clearly completed it.
Well, first of all, the platinum is pretty easy. As long
just beat it.
There's really only 2 trophies you need to execute skill with. Otherwise, it's mostly progression based. So it's not a very impressive platinum, is what I'm saying. As for the internet is tearing this game to shreds. I can't speak for maybe on PC it's a disaster, but on base PS5 it ran fine. There were occasional frame rate dips.
Mm-hmm.
There's like anytime there's a car chase where like you're like a turret mission. Whenever there's an on-rail turret mission, the frame rate is a complete disaster.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it's fine. In my experience, I can only speak to my experience.
I mean, I've seen people post pictures that reminded me of the Assassin's Creed Unity days
Right.
when like the faces were melted off of characters and all you saw was their skull and eyeballs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen those pictures too, but
Mhm.
nothing like that happened to me.
That's good to hear, man. So tell me about the game, because all I really know about it is what I've seen in the trailers, which it just looked very stylized, sci-fi open world shooter, and that's all I really got from it. I don't really know anything about story or what you're doing in this one.
Yeah, it's not really open world. They've never really marketed it as such. It's kind of like if you've played Mafia or LA Noire, it is that kind of game where it has this open world city, but really you're just driving through it for a linear story, and it goes from one mission to the next.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily open world. It's a very direct experience. You play as Jacob Diaz, who was in the military. He had some experimental technology put in his head, and now things went wrong, and he can't remember his time in the military. So he kind of gets a job at the company that makes a chip to try to get answers, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then a cyberpunk near future sci-fi story unravels from there. And it's a lot of dumb fun for most of it. The story, like it's never like truly gripping, or you're not going to care about the characters. But I was kind of describing it as like it's kind of like a Jason Statham movie where you don't really care what's happening because the lead guy is killing dudes and doing cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's enough sometimes. But the story gets really dumb by the end.
Oh yeah,
dude, it goes off the rails. It's a truly atrocious ending. But even before then, it's really bad. Especially like the first half of the game is what I was talking about. That kind of Jason Statham, just kind of an action movie, just kind of a near future tech action story. But then they start like putting more and more threads in there, and they don't really speak to each other, and like the story becomes very haphazard, where like things just kind of happen. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's bad stuff's happening in the city. You have this huge car crash, and all of a sudden you get woken up by somebody who I thought you parted on mostly cordial terms with, and all of a sudden you have like a boss fight with them, and then they disappear from the story again. You never see them again, and then you go back to like the city being taken over storyline. It's really sloppily done, and then by the end it goes so out there that I almost feel like I should probably tell you when the podcast's over, because it's wacky.
Yeah, I'll hear it, but I mean, I love wacky stuff like that. It reminds me of a lot of games I played in the Xbox 360 PS3 era, where they just like swung for the fences and it was so over the top it was fun.
Not fun.
No,
I don't think. No, I didn't have fun with the story by the end.
Remind me when we're done, because I'm probably not going to play this game, and I would like to hear what that's about.
Yeah, Xbox 360 is the perfect way to describe it. It very much feels like an Xbox 360 game. It very much, what I wanted out of this game is actually what I got, because I wanted a mediocre Xbox 360 game that you would rent and then kind of forgot you ever played. That's what it looked like to me in the trailers, and that's what I got.
Okay.
But I was feeling a weirdly strong nostalgia for that era. I was a teenager throughout it, so
I'm with you, man. I just fired up, or not fired up, but Aaron Hughes is over at my house yesterday, and he helped me hook up some consoles, and I hooked up the Xbox 360 that Tim Powlin gifted me last year, I believe it was, and I got a copy of Singularity sitting there that I haven't touched since it launched, and I really want to go back and play that game again.
It's that kind of energy, like a game like Time Shift. Does anybody remember Time Shift?
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of energy. And the gunplay I think is solid. I enjoy the shoot. It's very simple, cover based, pop and stop gunplay. Not unlike a Gears of War. And there's no
and stop, or is it stop and pop?
Stop and pop, whichever depends on
pop like a drop,
dude. The way I play it, I'm popping and stopping.
Jacob, clock that T.
I don't know what just happened. There are no upgrades, or the upgrades you get like some combat upgrades and new weapons, but they all come to you throughout the storyline.
It's not like a skill tree or anything that.
Yeah, no skill tree. You're getting upgrades to your mind's eye as the story progresses. Very classic of that era.
So I'm like really perplexed about how you feel about this game. You're giving me such mixed signals right now, because you're not having the technical difficulties that everybody is having. it is a 360 PS3 era style game, which is what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But the story goes so off the rails, it becomes not fun. So, like, are you recommending this game or not?
It is the most okay game I've played in years. It is so thoroughly okay.
All right.
So maybe on a discount, or when it hits your Game Pass or whatever,
Not
or
60 bucks.
if you're nostalgic for the Xbox 360 era,
aggressively average.
It might be worth $20 or $30 or something like that. But yeah, $60, tough sell, and especially in this, when we're surrounded by great games constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the reaction to it online, but I get it. Again, I didn't have those problems.
I mean, if you had those problems and the game was what it was, would you be complaining about it? I mean, would that sour your experience on it?
Yes, but I also wonder, when these things happen, like how many of those people have actually played the game?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they just mad because a YouTuber told them to be?
Right. I mean, we just talked about it, right? That's what I feel like has happened with the Switch. Like,
right.
Yep.
There's so many people have told me like what a waste that is. Yet 3.5 million people bought one on day one. So
yeah. I'm intrigued to see how Mindseye is received in the months to come. Like we've gone through poor launches before, right? Cyberpunk or No Man's Sky, but I don't see the redemption path for it to be like an all-timer like those games are in the community's eyes. Although not a bad marketing strategy, turns out, to put out a crap game and then put money into it over the years.
Yeah, now it's like the number 2 selling game on Switch 2 right now.
Yeah, people love that stuff.
Yeah. Redemption stories.
Yeah,
as long as they get one.
They love getting treated like a fool. And then years later being like, hey, at least they stuck with it.
Yeah. Getting called out, right?
So yeah, Mindseye, perfectly average game. Play it if you love average games. Me, I have a fondness for average games.
Yeah, so do I.
Jacob, is Leaf Blower Company an average game? It is. The demo is definitely an average game. There's appears to be 6 levels that you can play that you can go through and clean up leaves and stuff, but they don't. I mean, it's a demo. They don't give you a lot of stuff to do. They let you use all of the upcoming tools and stuff in the simplistic form that they have. And I mean, you're just pushing leaves around. They kind of teach you some of the mechanics. They show you some of the levels that you'll be doing. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot going on here. Although one of my favorite parts is they said something about cleaning up packages that fell out of the back of a truck with the leaf blower. So you walked over and you used the leaf blower and you pushed the boxes back towards the truck to put them on the truck. But at that point in the game, they had given me this torch to burn weeds, and I used the torch on leaves, and I went, maybe the boxes just reskinned leaves. And so I went through and burned half of the boxes to get rid of them and didn't actually ever put them back on the truck. So somebody is not getting any kind of delivery because I torched all of the goods.
Did you pass the mission?
Oh yeah.
Like it was like, hey, congratulations.
It said they were all collected. They were done.
So this game falls in the category of those like satisfying cleanup games, right? Like Power Wash Simulator or Lawn Mowing Simulator.
It actually reminded me a lot of Scott, you played Power Wash Simulator, right?
Yes.
Okay. Does he talk to you the entire time? Does your character talk to you?
I only played one mission of that, so I don't remember anybody talking, honestly.
So this reminded me a lot of Crime Scene Cleaner that I was doing before, because there is a story in the game, and the story is like you're coming back into your hometown to restart, blah blah whatever, and you open this leaf blower company and start doing it. So as you're doing things, your character is talking to you the entire time, pushing leaves. Oh, I finished this one. Oh, that
like
was
an inner monologue kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. But like you hear it, and it was driving me nuts because it wasn't a good monologue. It was like, there we go. All right. Okay. Like every now and then she would just say something just to say something. But other than that, like it's got little side objectives. There's little Easter eggs in the game that you can go through and find. One of the maps, there was a bird cage full of butterflies. And if you use the leaf blower on it, it opens the cage and the butterflies are released and they fly. Butter lily. But yeah,
smooth as butter.
Right.
Can you so you can use blow the butterflies?
No, I tried because I'm a jerk. But anyway,
natural instinct, I think.
There are other things in the one of the maps had pinwheels that were set up in certain locations, and you can use the pinwheels to blow leaves in a so you blow the leaves into the pinwheel, and the pinwheel blows them another direction. So there's interesting little mechanics in the game, but without seeing the entire game, I'm not sure exactly how everything is going to work when it comes together. But they had a very interesting question and answer sheet in the game.
No, that's true.
Did you play the demo? Well, yeah, that's why I'm here. That's how I got to this question and answer sheet.
Why do you think they came all this way?
Right. So, and I answered the question sheet as honestly as I could. One of them said, like, how did you feel about the story beats that were happening, at the start and end of every mission? And I said, there's a story. So, like, I didn't get any of that. So yeah, there's somebody that's got my review going across their desk right now. Like, what is this?
So are you going to be buying the full game?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
I guess better than average.
Yeah.
So again, I've played like Chair Simulator.
Right. You're all not
to be confused with another chair simulator, but
like click holding.
Yeah, like click holding. I've literally played a game called The Most Boring Game Ever, and it's just you sitting at a computer in game, and then when you click it, the number 1, like, it just starts counting on the screen. There's nothing else to it, and when you quit, that's your high score.
All right,
what a riveting life you live.
We did have just want to back up for just a second, Jacob. Appreciate you talking about that game because I've actually been curious. But we had a listener from the chat asking a question about Mindseye for Zach. He asks, are there many custom-made maps or missions from other players? Because that was a big hook of the game.
Well, Jakey San, not on console so far. I know all the mission building tools are only on PC, which is a little frustrating. It seems kind of weird to restrict a major portion of the game. But I think those missions are supposed to get published on consoles, so I don't know how those trickle out or what, but right now there's only missions made by the developers themselves, and there's the tools seem pretty robust. Like the missions they have on offer there, you can definitely tell them apart from like the main campaign missions. You could tell they're made less bespokely, I guess, but there's a lot you can do with them. So I'm hoping people get a hold of it and do cool stuff, but the game's got to be moderately successful, I think, for people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I don't know. So no, there are not currently mini maps or missions from other players.
Too bad. You think you'll go back and check them out if that does happen on console?
I think I would. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the mechanics are definitely solid, and I trust the community. There's a lot of game devs out there that probably haven't had their chance that could probably make some cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they want to spend the time doing that in Mindseye is another story. But I would check that stuff out, sure.
All right, fair enough. Before we move on, I got a couple other games to share with you guys. I sat down with Mark and Alyssa to talk about some games that they played. So why don't we check those out right now? Thank you, guys. Do appreciate it. Real quick, I want to remind everybody about our social media platforms and communities. If you'd like to join the conversations with fellow gamers, you can head over to facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We have a new member there by the name of Adam Smith. Adam, welcome. Hope you're enjoying the community. Also, like I mentioned at the top of the show, Discord. We've got a link in the show notes of this very episode. I would love it if you came and checked it out. Also, drop us a review wherever you're listening to the show. We would really appreciate it. It helps us get the word out there, and we want to get into the ears of more people. Lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. There you can listen. You can find links to all of our podcast episodes, all of our news articles, and all of our written reviews, including my review of Pinball Spire is available now, David's reviews of On Your Tail and Guards 2, Chaos and Hell, and Joel Selinsky's review of Roadcraft, which that dude loves that game.
Yeah, he does.
He loves that game. He's talking about Game of the Year contender for him. So check out his review.
I'm gonna play that game.
I was surprised you didn't play this one, Jay, because this seemed like a game for you for sure.
I'm gonna go buy it.
Are you?
I bought Gex Trilogy right before the show started, so I'm gonna go buy Roadcraft right now.
Maybe
Money
it's
bags.
maybe it's a Nintendo Switch 2.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, Joel's review of Roadcraft made me want to play Roadcraft.
Seriously, me too.
Yeah,
I typed in road and it came up, so it must
There
be
you
good.
go. All right, well, let's go.
Must be good. Nice. When I type in driver comes up, and that game's
Right.
cool.
All right, well, let's go ahead now and jump into our From the Outside In topic. So this week we wanted to talk about playing online games and whether the online component has enhanced or ruined the multiplayer experience. So the way I wanted to do this is I want to go through and do the pros and cons. So first off, go around the table here. What are the positives about playing multiplayer games online as opposed to in person?
Well, I mean, of course, you can play with people from afar, right? That's got to be the biggest positive.
Yeah, pretty obvious one.
And
All right, pros are done.
the biggest positive for me is talked to death on this show, but you think back to Gears of War, and it was meeting new people. We can get to the cons later about how that's changed, but in terms of pros, like there's an opportunity to meet cool people. Getting to know Scott Clark, for instance.
Yeah.
Certainly a cool person.
Zach stuck up for me when we were playing online together. I will never forget that. I felt vindicated when Zach stood up for me. Yeah.
What did I do?
We were playing
constantly, or
we were playing. It was just one specific instance. This is what a nerd I am. Is you were on my team, and it was like the very first. I didn't know the map, and I was going off. I was trying to learn the map. I didn't know the map yet. And someone on our team was giving me a hard time, someone that we both know.
I think I know.
Yeah. So what are you doing? I was like, well, I don't know the map. I want to learn the map so that when I die, I know what I'm doing. And Zach was like, well, that's actually a really good strategy. I don't know why you're like giving him a hard time about it. That makes sense. And I was like, yes, thank you. I feel vindicated. But you're absolutely right. Like that's how we got to know. That's how we met people like Brian Williams, who I did a podcast with for 7 years.
Right.
I mean, we never would have met Brian if it weren't for Gears of War. A lot of people from Rotten Tomatoes, I probably wouldn't have known personally if we didn't do this online. But I also feel like it was a different world then. Like, can you remember the last time that you played online with somebody that you didn't know, and then you went to their profile and added them as a friend because you wanted to play with them again later? That was a regular occurrence back in the 360 and PS3 days. Right.
Yeah. That's happened in Hunt Showdown, but you have to coordinate with the people you're playing with if you want to win. Right. So that, but that's just not the case for most multiplayer games.
Right. You could play just even a co-op game. You could just play and just, whatever. I'm just doing this to get the achievement to get played with someone online. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's definitely a positive. The proximity is huge because I mean, I can't play games with you here. You live on the other end of the country.
Right.
So it's, and I say we have this convenience and we never freaking use it. It's a crazy thing.
Our weekly Baldur's Gate 3 would not happen without online multiplayer.
That's true. Oh, I'm going to get yelled at. We didn't talk about that at the top of the show, did we?
No, I realized that and just let it go because we're already like really far into it.
Oh my goodness. Well, maybe if someone had shown up, we'd have a little bit more to talk about.
Shout out to Kevin, our producer, doing the hard work, and yet for some reason we're giving him guff.
I know, right? Let's see. Jake, did you have anything to add in terms of the pros?
The style of games that you can play with people online now is multiplayer is expanded because you can play online. You're not playing split screen, so you can have the whole screen, so you can play certain games that require more visibility, less, whatever. So I think the style of games that are allowed to play, because I would never like playing GoldenEye with 4 friends back in the day, and you're playing on like this 13-inch screen, and you're all trying to like, oh, your screen looking, you're doing this, you're doing that.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a fight going on outside of the game. Like,
oh, we all had the cardboard like taped to our TVs at some point when we were younger, didn't we?
We weren't smart. But I mean, so yeah, I mean, now you're playing these games and there's no more that arguing. I mean, yeah, there's other things to arguing. You're lagging, you're whatever, blah blah whatever. But
dude, I mean, even the screen size itself, the fact that you get an entire screen to yourself.
Yes.
You forget like the screen look and everything, but that tiny little screen that you had to look at.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, dude. I mean, TVs are so big now that your quarter of the screen is bigger than the TV we had growing up anyway.
That's actually a good point too. Yeah,
and it doesn't have knobs on the side, so that's a bonus.
This is how old I am. I had a TV that had 2 knobs on it.
Mm-hmm.
One knob went to 13, I think, and then it had like a letter U. And when you went to the letter U, then you could go to the second dial, and that thing had like 70 different channels on it. So like. Click, 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 click. Dude,
Where's Seinfeld?
Yeah.
My the first TV that I gamed on, it had the numbers like 1 through 8, and then it was A, B, C, D, E, and E. And E and F were always missing, or whatever. And then the bottom knob was volume, and that was it.
Huh.
And it was terrible. It was this little 13-inch TV that I kind of played in the corner that my mom let me have.
No remote. You actually had to
no remote. I had well, I mean, you're sitting right there anyway.
Right.
I was any closer and my mom would have been yelling at me about getting cancer.
But I feel like to turn on that TV too, it wasn't to press the button. It was like pull the button out.
Yeah.
To turn the TV on. Like it would click out like a cigarette lighter.
Yeah. Or I think mine was like the volume, once it went all the way down, it clicked off. Or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
My mom still has that TV.
So it wasn't like the TV wasn't on at volume, which was handy when you were a kid. If you were getting up at 5 a.m. to play a game and you didn't want your parents to hear, there's no chance of you like.
What are you talking about? Like, I see all those things on social medias where they're like, oh the PS4 startup, the girlfriend.
What are you doing?
Gets angry. Yeah. What are you doing? Whatever. Those TVs used to make an audible turning on noise. So boom. Whatever the electricity going through the TV.
But if you're just watching TV or something, they don't care. It's playing a game is a problem.
I was never trying to just watch TV. That was the problem.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, let's talk about the negatives. What are the downsides of playing online as opposed to playing in person?
Being able to play with your friends all the time.
That's
a bad thing.
He hates being available to his friends.
This is true. Sometimes I'm not in the mood and I don't want to play with anybody, but then
just say you have a headache.
Here's this. Oh, pulling out the wife card. Are we? No, not tonight, honey. I mean, sorry guys, I have a headache.
You can go incognito. Can't you just like appear offline?
Some of the things you can. I think that's becoming more readily available. Actually at this point in age, it should be available everywhere, but, no, I was just joking about that, but just as we observed earlier in the show, you've got internet connections for everybody. If one of them drops out, the game lags or the host kicks out and everyone gets kicked out. And God, that would be terrible on the Switch too. The host of the party gets kicked out, and then everyone's gonna back out, and everyone's gonna get back in.
Yeah. Oh. Remember host advantage? That was like a thing, right?
Oh, yes. Oh yeah. That was absolutely a thing.
I mean, everybody complained about it in times where they shouldn't have complained about it. They just sucked, but it did happen on occasion.
Well, it was a convenience excuse.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there was something about that shotgun in Gears that, like, depending on if you were host or not, determined how far away you needed to be.
I think that's true.
With
I think the shotgun is true with the host advantage for sure.
Right. That was the
especially in Gears 1.
Yes, Gears 1 especially.
Yeah.
Tyrol Station.
Dude, good stuff.
Dude, we have to do that. I was talking to Aaron Hughes. We were in the car yesterday together and talking about Gears. By the way, I got my code. I don't know if I told you that last week. I got my code for the download. I want to get a full lobby of Go members to do old school Gears.
I'll be there. 100%. I'll be there.
Yeah, got to make that happen. That's this August.
Yep,
I want to say so. That's got to be happening. For me, I'm gonna go next, Zach. I hope you don't mind. The downside of
screw you, Zach.
Playing online.
Why would anybody mind? I don't understand.
I mean, I'm going for the low hanging fruit here, but the toxicity of playing online. I mean, I don't experience it as much
In our city?
because did I say in my city?
No, the toxicity. Never mind.
Oh, you're doing a
BYOD.
System of a
Yeah.
Down reference.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. Derailed.
But I feel like when Xbox Live and PlayStation Online or whatever first came around, everyone was so excited to be able to be playing online with people and running into strangers. It was a cool novelty. And
Mhm.
over the past few years, people just got comfortable with it. It became the norm. The newness wear off, and then that's when the crap just starts to seep into there. To the point that I can't tell you the last time I played with people that I didn't know. And you know, especially with my schedule nowadays, I'm either playing something that I'm trying to finish or I'm playing something to hang out with friends. You know what I mean? Like I'm this is how we hang out because we don't live near each other. So let's get together and play something or something with the community. So I'm not going out and saying, well, let's just see who's online and if I can hopefully find a good partner. That's just not happening anymore. I know
That's very true.
I'm just speaking for me, but I feel like that is a pretty popular notion, is that people suck online when they like there's nothing you can do but like complain to them on, you can report them, and who knows what good that actually does.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing, I imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe it probably appears more toxic because the toxic people have scared away all the non-toxic people.
So it's just the majority people that are playing online like that are toxic. There's just none left.
So the people who are left talking are all the toxic ones.
Yeah,
because everybody else who just wants to have a good time can't, because everybody else is so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Which sucks.
I mean, I remember when I'm sorry, but when the first Monster Hunter game came out for the PS2, you had a little add-on in the back, and that allowed you for online play. And it was awesome to get online and meet new people and go on hunts and actually have an interaction with real people and going to do things. And then I got older and I started getting into first-person shooters, and my first one was Killzone 2, which was all right. It wasn't great, but then I started playing Rainbow Six Vegas 2, and I met a bunch of people on there. Started jumping into random lobbies, playing for a little bit, jump out, whatever. And I met a group of people. I'm still friends with two of those. Well, I'm still friends with a few of those people that I met back in those days. So that was like 15, 20 years
Mm-hmm.
that that was the thing. And then MW2 came out, and my God, I don't think I've sworn more in my life than during that like 4 or 5 year span that me and them were playing MW2 together. But now I can't even stand FPSs. I don't want to go online. I don't want to deal with other people. I watch what the streamers and all that stuff are doing and putting people through, and I just don't want to deal with any of it. So
on the same token, I don't want to deal with people that are so much better at a game than I am. And I understand this makes me sound like a sore loser, and maybe I am, but I would like to play with people that are at my level. I feel like if I'm playing in person with friends, there's always going to be somebody that's the best at it, but it doesn't feel like they're so far ahead of me when they're sitting right next to you. Because they're even if they're not doing it intentionally, they're helping you. You're learning from them, and because I don't know.
Have we ever played Smash?
I have not played Smash with you. I am terrible. I am not a Smash fan at all.
Wouldn't good matchmaking eventually put you in with people your level? You just have to play for a while.
That's a whole nother conversation.
All right, we'll save it for another day.
I feel like I'm never in a almost a jury of my peers. I'm never amongst people of my skill level, no matter how much I get into it. Because a lot of times, like I remember Joel tried to get me into the last Modern Warfare, the last Call of Duty. I can't remember which one it was. The last multiplayer one, the one that was on Game Pass. So I didn't have to.
Black Ops 6, right?
Was it Black Ops 6? And
one that just came out.
Well, right, but there's always ones that come in between the numbered ones, right? So it's like
they're just going straight Black Ops 6 to Black Ops 7 this time, huh?
Yeah,
right, which is weird.
Yeah, for sure.
But I hopped in there with Joel and his buddy Ang, and they're experts at Call of Duty 6. They've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 1. You know what I mean? And I'm just tagging along, holding my own, but I'm clearly, nowhere near this. So I never have an opportunity to. So I feel like if I ever were to play on my own, my matchmaking is gonna be based on them, not me.
Yep.
That's what it feels like. So
Yep.
I don't know. So the last negative I'll say about playing online versus playing in person is you miss out on those experiences. Some of my best multiplayer experiences outside of Gears of War were when I was playing with people in the room. You mentioned Smash Brothers. I remember playing Smash Brothers in college on Nintendo 64. That was super fun. That one was brand new and nobody was good at it, and we all were just like trying to figure it out. It was just fun playing as these characters we knew, beating up on one another, and nobody was just trying to be elite. We were just doing it to have fun. You know what I mean? It didn't matter who won. Or like the times that we've gotten together here at my house or at Kevin's and played things like Kung Fu Kickball or Boomerang Fu and Jackbox games. There's something about sitting in a room with your friends that make games funnier, that make things just more ridiculous and silly and genuine belly laughs that you just don't get as much from hearing them in your ear. So, yeah, I'm not really sure where I land in terms of preference, but what do you guys think? Do you prefer to play on which do you think is better, playing in person or playing online? Which list is better?
I think I prefer online, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, especially, like my biggest negative would probably just be that they got rid of no game does keep the lobby together anymore.
Oh yeah.
And I think the new Gears of War re-release will, which is cool. But because my preferred method of playing with friends was getting a couple buddies together and going into the lobbies, and then like you just over time you're going to learn to talk to the other people because the teams would get switched up in between rounds. This is like thinking about old Halo or old Gears, especially.
If they had their ringer on the other team, you were okay with it because you knew they were going to be on your team in a later round.
Right. Yeah. Eventually you're going to get Covenant Killer 26. He's going to be on your team. But it also meant like you couldn't be a total dickhead because you were going to have to work together in a minute.
Right.
So you couldn't be an over the top a-hole.
Kind of like how back in the day, whoever lost the election for presidency got to be vice president, and those two had to work together anyway.
Yeah, it was an interesting, good time.
Lasted for 2 terms.
But anyway, similar to that, Gears of War. That was my preferred way to play, and that was when I was playing more multiplayer than ever. Is when those things were happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was
a really good point.
It was a sense of community, for sure.
Going, letting the pendulum swing. That was also when it was the most toxic. You'd end up in like those Call of Duty lobbies, and you would just be, the people would never leave, and so you're with this group of like 20 people, and you are just nonstop talking the entire time.
Well, luckily, Call of Duty was pretty good about having that mute button. Like a dedicated mute button. That was pretty sweet. But I also feel like Call of Duty was like that was the real transformation point where the a-holes came out.
We got a comment in the chat from Aaron Place. It's Aaron Hughes. He says, modern Call of Duties will keep the players together. At least I feel like I've noticed that in my little time playing. Just most of the time people leave for whatever reason.
Probably because they're used to it.
Well,
right.
The new Modern Warfare's, like once the game was done, it like completely cut out the other team and set you up with a completely new people, and they didn't want any of the people fighting in their lobbies at all. Like none.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also like a people chasing that high, right? Like the next room is probably going to be better. Next room is going to be better. So everybody just bounces.
I don't want that. I want the I don't know, even with all of the, man, it's really hard not to use certain words right now. Even with all the negative talk, even with all the trash talk that was going on, I felt maybe like a slight connection with these other guys. We're all going through the same thing together. But when you
Yeah.
have these lobbies that are all, every single lobby is chopped together. You don't have any idea of how good or what these people are or any of this stuff and whatever. You just throw into a lobby. You can't talk to them. You can't do anything. You can't, there's no teasing. There's no bullying. There's nothing. And it just, you're taking out all the interaction from the other people. And it kind of sucks.
Yeah, I think so.
Plus, like, you have people that just squat up, right? And they don't play with anybody but their team, which is awesome if you're really good, you know what I mean? But have you ever been like thrown in a multiplayer match with people of like their screen name are all the same screen name except for like the last number has changed, and like clearly they've been playing together for a long time, and you just know you're done.
I used to hunt those people, or if you had a clan take phase, and now it's TTV. Ooh, I used to hunt those people. I would actively go out of my way to ruin those people's day.
I think our clan tag was MLP, right?
MLP.
Yeah.
We had a clan tag.
Most lax players.
It was Brian Williams came up with those for, we were the My Little Ponies.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh yeah. All right. I'll have to ask him about it.
Back in the MW2 days, my clan was IKZ. We was the infamous killers.
Hell yeah.
I think I'm with you, Zach, though. I do prefer to play online.
Well, you get the whole screen to yourself, man.
You get the whole screen to yourself. The convenience factor is huge. I feel like my time is limited. But, man, I do just miss sitting around with buddies. Like, I wish we could still do that every once in a while. Paul Hine had a comment here. He says, I leave when I notice squeaky kids. Squeaky kids.
That was another group of people that I used to hunt down too. Oh, I was terrible back.
There's a dude on TikTok that like uses a voice modulator to make his voice sound like he's a little kid, and he goes around and says some pretty funny stuff, and people don't realize he's a kid. It's pretty entertaining, but because he doesn't, his voice is annoying, but the things he says, he's not acting like a 9-year-old because he's not. But it's pretty funny.
So me and my group would look for sales of the game that we were playing, because because we were playing the game, and if there were sales to the game, there was going to be new players in the game. We used to call they were noobs, but one of the biggest events that we had where it was Christmas time, and we called them Christmas noobs, and we would just
Christmas noobs. Dude, that's totally true though, because like I remember when Titanfall released, the first Titanfall. I'm not a big multiplayer guy, and I think I've said this on the show before. I prestiged Titanfall because nobody was good at that game at that point. Nobody knew how it worked. It was brand new. Everybody was green, so I actually felt like I stood somewhat of a chance, and I got super into that game and prestiged my character. So
stand by for Titanfall.
Right,
so good. I have
both those games are exceptional.
I've had an itch to go back and play the campaign up to. I keep seeing it like on sale on Xbox or PlayStation. And I'm like, I already have that game. Like I should just go do it. You ever do that? You ever see a game on sale? Like, man, I should buy that. And then you like look it up and like, I already own it.
Yeah, that's definitely happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you, Jake? We both prefer online. Where you sit?
Oh, I love online. I mean, it depends on the game. Like,
true.
I don't think those party games would be as fun if they were online.
That's true.
I'm not sitting around with buds, having a beer and doing whatever. But no, I prefer online. It's more convenient. I don't have to drive 30 minutes to go to a friend's house to play a chair by chair game with them.
Right. Even like the Jackbox games, you can play those online, but there's always like a latency issue if you're playing that, and that just sucks.
Somebody's at the main screen and they're like 30 seconds ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you basically have to stream it to Twitch, and then there's always going to be like a 10-second delay, which is a big deal with games that have a timer.
Yeah.
So that's
why is it counting? Why is it counting?
So I mean, I guess I answered this question. Has online ruined the multiplayer experience? I mean, I guess I haven't answered the question because we prefer online, but in a way, it kind of has ruined the shoulder-to-shoulder multiplayer experience because we just don't do it anymore because we have the other option.
Mhm.
I mean, if we didn't have online, I mean, I would say I wouldn't be playing with Zach, but you and I would be hanging out together in person a lot more, Jake, if online didn't exist.
No.
So in a way, online has ruined the couch co-op or couch multiplayer experience.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, I mean, again, it depends on the game. I mean, if I was
Yeah,
going to play
it
a
does.
couch co-op with you, yeah, let's go do couch co-op. But other than that, I mean, there's nothing that we really can't do that's not going to be online. So
Right.
why waste the time driving and setting up and getting all that stuff, you know?
Yeah. I never did like LAN parties like you guys did. Like that was a big deal where everybody got together with their PCs and hooked them all up. I never had that joy. That just sounds like a nightmare to set that up every week.
Dude, I don't know, man. It was, well, you know, we did it with Halo back in the day on our Xboxes. And that was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when we did the Extra Life event and we were
Yeah.
setting up all the stuff in yeah, imagine that. That's all that it was.
But like just for one night.
Who's got
of
an
gaming.
outlet? There's an outlet over there. Okay, you
Yeah.
go set up over there. Now you run the Ethernet cord this way.
You know, I want to do that again. I was so tired though. Oh my goodness. That was when we first played Boomerang Foo, if I remember correct.
Yeah.
And I was so deep sleep deprived. I was
Just like
laughing at
now.
stuff that wasn't, yeah, pretty much.
Speech deprived.
Yeah. Zach, you got anything more to add?
No, I mean, I don't think online has ruined multiplayer at all. I think the directions online has ruined online multiplayer, but that's a different topic.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Are players jerks? Yes.
Yeah, or why is every multiplayer game got to be a second job? If you want to, you know, like
Yeah.
every time I log into a multiplayer game, I feel like I've missed 12 things, and then they kind of discourage me. I'm like, I don't really. I guess I just won't play.
Well, right, especially you know with how many there are. I feel like back again in 360 days, we had Gears. There were other games, but Gears was the big one. That's the one everyone was playing. And then eventually there became something else. You know what I mean? And like everyone was playing.
It would kind of cycle, right? Everybody's playing Halo 3.
Right.
Everyone's, It was cool.
Jackie-san had a comment in the chat. He said Halo 1, 2, Xbox LAN was peak multiplayer. Again, it's basically online it's in-person multiplayer, but you have your own screen.
Yeah, but there was guaranteed pizza and soda.
Right.
And every time you got the bros together with some Xbox Halo going on.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Ooh, see, it comes up again.
Aaron Plays says, why can't matchmaking actually be accurate? I don't know how it works. I feel like that's got to be a topic, which I know Jacob knows a little bit about how that works. So
It's infuriating.
Yeah. Well, let's see what the community said. Over on Discord, Thomas Beck says, the great Dutch philosopher and football player, Johan Cruyff. I don't speak Dutch, so he has a famous saying.
All right.
Every downside has an upside and vice versa. Meaning that while it might be a shame that an in-person multiplayer doesn't happen as often as one would like, the upside is that it allows people to play together even when they can't physically be together. And it has been the start of many beautiful friendships. It allows people to play together across countries and even continents, and at times when it would not have been physically possible. And that is a great thing. And maybe people should make a bit more effort to play together in the same room, because that is eventually the nicest way to play with friends. Yeah, makes a good point. I probably wouldn't even know Thomas if it weren't for online. You know, podcasting and playing online together. A dude came over here from Ireland to visit me in person. Like we hung out for like a week. So
that's rude, and I can't even get my friends from Canada to come down.
I mean, be more likable.
Hey.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't ask him the impossible.
I know, right?
Wow.
Zach,
both girls.
Why don't you say the next two? They're both short.
Sure. Tim Paulin writes in, some of my best friends are internet friends. Plus, I don't have to share my snacks. That's good. Yeah. You don't have to buy the pizza.
Good point.
Yeah, but you also, it's hard to buy pizza just for yourself.
Yeah. Well,
no, it's not.
Maybe that's a Scott problem.
I mean, pizza's never, I'm sorry. I know you like cold pizza, Jacob, but pizza's never as good as it is right when it's fresh and hot.
Yeah. Anyway. No, of course. Yeah. Pizza's good whenever.
Aaron again pops in and says, that's what Jake gets for all his Christmas noob pub stomping, LOL.
Those were the day. Those are free kills.
Yeah, dude.
Sink or swim.
Oh,
Let's go.
Now they're turned off and never going to play the game again. Rusty writes in, toxicity obviously has become a major problem in online gaming. I much prefer to play with my friends than randos. In games like Sea of Thieves, I only play online with real-life friends on my ship, but for Mario Kart, where communication is limited and trolling is somewhat difficult, I'll hop into games with random folks.
Huh, that's a good point. Man, every time if I ever hopped on online Mario Kart, I felt like I was always playing with people in Japan that like
we're destroying everybody.
Right. They wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day to practice Mario Kart, it feels like. I understand everybody's better at games than me. I totally get it.
Whenever you would see a Japanese Nintendo ID, you just knew there was no shot.
Yep, you're done.
And that person was so far ahead of everybody else. You were kind of like, it was like, I didn't realize there was skill involved in Mario Kart, really.
Right.
But I'm being educated.
It's like whenever we play in 50cc class in Mario Kart, that's how far ahead that person is, but we're all the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is so in the newer Monster Hunter games, there's the SOS flare, and it calls anybody. It just puts out a random invite to anybody who's paying attention at that point. And they're like, if you're having trouble with any kind of monster, just shoot an SOS flare. Some kid with a Japanese name will come in and kill the thing for you.
Dude, so they're the rising sun. They see that flare and they come out.
Yeah.
That's rude. Drew Ross says, I'd say I missed the Xbox 360 days of Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Halo MP gaming, when lobby servers would stay together and the game chat was utilized. It meant a lot of good gaming friends back then. A lot I still play with now today. Now we use party chat and never hear the other team in the game. Plus it's too toxic. Anyways, plus you get new lobbies every match because of SBMM.
I know matchmaking. What is it? SB?
Stats-based matchmaking?
Yeah.
Stats-based matchmaking.
Skill-based? Skill-based?
Skill-based, stats-based.
See, I will say the party chat is another way in which we're letting the toxic people win, though, because we all just recede into our parties, so we don't have to deal with anybody else, and thus we're never meeting anybody else. And it's just kind of, you're kind of trapped in your own cycle.
Well, right. I mean, yeah, but I mean, that's a lot of the times the chat of like the system or whatever you're using, like Discord on that kind of stuff, is better than the in-game chat. You just can understand people better. And I get where you're coming from, like, because we're not fighting back against the toxicity of these people. We're just letting them be where they're being, and we're running from them. So it's just getting worse. But I mean, people are going to be jerks. Like that's just a fact of life. Arc servers used to have anti-trolling devices in them until the trolls figured out how to use the anti-trolling devices to troll people, and it was crazy.
I don't even understand why it's fun. Like, why is it fun to go ruin everybody else's time?
Ask Jacob.
Why bully small children in Modern Warfare 2?
What's fun about bullying people, Jacob?
Oh, I got great kicks out of it. Oh
man.
Although some of the things I said were probably a little heartless, but
they probably deserved it.
I mean, come on, they were noobs.
I feel like I've told this story before, so I apologize, but
you should.
My very first Xbox Live experience was Xbox One, the original Xbox, Crimson Skies.
Hell yeah, dude.
I was online and I did not know how the game worked. I did not realize that you had alternate fire on your weapons, like you could shoot behind you in multiplayer. Didn't know it was a thing. And some dude I was in a match with him, and I was like, how are you shooting from behind you? And he actually he invited me into another match, just he and I, and he taught me how to do it. Yeah. Like he's like, all right, follow me. I'm going to do it to you. Right. It used to be like, that was the norm. Like people would just be nice to each other and teach each other things that they knew. And like, I don't know. I know I'm like Pollyanna in that I want people to like build each other up and teach each other. And now it's just, how much can I crush you? You know what I mean?
One of my favorite stories, this isn't even one of my stories. When I was in college, the first class I took was like video game business, like ideals or whatever. And my teacher was doing an experiment to see just basically like how long it would take for World of Warcraft to get insufferable by playing it once a day. And so she played one level a night, and so she'd go in the game,
like gaining one level, you mean?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So she'd go in there, she'd gain a level, she quit, and by the time she was done with it, she was staying on for like hours and hours and hours at a time trying to get that one level. But she said in the very beginning, before she ever knew what was going on in the game or really knew how to level up effectively, there was one player that grabbed her and was like, hey, I will help you out, and took her on some quests, got her set up, got her some armor, got her some weapons, and they spent a good time together and whatever. And at the end of the little interaction, he turned around and murdered her on the spot, like did some like emote nonsense and then left. And she was like,
took all her stuff, or
why? No, just killed her and left. Like, why would you do that?
Now, how does that? I don't play World of Warcraft. Does that mean your character is like done, or do you res, or
I'm sure you res, but
it
was just funny because
just somebody being mean, Scott.
it was a long game.
Yeah,
like,
it was
played this long con to be able to have that one moment. She's probably on a YouTube video somewhere.
Gained your trust and then murdered.
Yeah. All right. Our next comment comes from Mark Szymanski over on Fuse. He says, it depends on the situation. I have been in the same league on iRacing. Originally, the league was on PS4 since 2018. I consider these guys who live 1,000 miles away some of my closest friends, even though I've never met them in person. I would imagine that in the impersonal lobbies on Fortnite or Call of Duty, there will easily be many opinions different than mine. And yes, some of those people are insufferable. It's a lot easier to avoid those people nowadays. Unfortunately, maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at it. But yeah,
there were some great commercials that were coming out like in this time that were boasting about the online interactions that people were having like with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a friendly, whatever. And I don't remember what racing game it was, but it was like the start, how they do like the 3, 2, 1, go,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the cars are rolling, whatever. Like all the people are talking like in their headsets and whatever to each other. And they're all talking about like where they're coming from and what they're doing and blah, blah, whatever. And the last dude that's like the narrator for the game is like, they're all talking about like, oh, I come from Europe. I come from America. I come from this. And he was like, oh, I come from first place.
Oh,
Sick burn.
nice.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, you're up.
Jumping over to TikTok, AA Ron writes in,
can I read that last one?
I don't have any friends who live in the same town as myself, so online gaming is our only option. I actually think it has some pluses. If you don't feel like playing the same game, you can party up, still BS around, but be playing other games. We used to do that back on 360 a lot.
Story.
Yep, story.
My kid does it a lot now. He'll get in the Discord and he'll be in a chat with like 7 friends, and they're all playing something different. Like they're all still hanging out, but they're all going through their own little battles.
Yeah, I feel like well, I was gonna say I don't know what kind of games they're playing, I guess, but I feel like so many modern games, like the characters never stop talking, so you just be a story.
Yeah, so just to explain to people that don't know what we mean by that, like it was like an unwritten rule that when you're playing a game, you're having a conversation, but you needed the other person to shut up for a minute so you could hear the dialogue in the story in the cutscene or whatever.
So you didn't mute them; you just yelled story.
Yeah, we did. It was like
everybody was respectful.
We didn't even like discuss it. It's just like, hang on, story.
Yeah,
and it just became a thing. And then then the other person after their cutscene was over, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm good," and then just keep on talking with whatever. Like it was just awesome.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was.
All right, so Sir Goatsworth. It's definitely much easier to play online with friends, and it's just hanging out. Playing with randos, I do not like though.
Yeah,
I hate randos. Actually, it's actually really weird because during Call of Duty Ghosts, I got really, really good at that one. And all of my friends were one day playing it and the next day not. I don't know what happened. They just decided to not play it again. And so it was just me. And so I just decided I didn't want to give up on it. So I just kept playing it. And I met a bunch of randos and we ended up talking and I ended up hanging out with them for a little bit. But for whatever reason, like the group dynamic was completely different, which was weird to me. But they didn't like, they didn't like each other. They always liked to play against each other. And so, somebody would come in late and so they'd be on the other team. And so, we'd all kill that dude or, whatever. And then once the match was done, then we would be like, oh, okay, cool. We're out, whatever. So they would try to do that to me. But again, I was really good. So I would just stomp them all.
I come from first place.
Oh, and so then it was like, I don't know. It must have been like a year later or something. We're still playing Ghosts, and my old group was like, you know what? For fun, we should go play this. And I was like, oh yes, finally. So we get back on it, and my new group saw that I had gotten on, so they were like, oh, we should. I'm like, you guys on that team, we'll be on this team. We'll show you what it used to be like.
Oh, Jake was the prettiest girl at the ball.
Oh, I was. It was awesome. Oh, so good. Those days were so good. We had one guy that would run around and he would yell candy every time he killed somebody.
Just yell out the word candy.
Candy. That's all I did.
Candy.
That's pretty funny.
So yeah.
Man, the most close I got to that is how many times. Remember that, Zach?
No.
Somebody, I think it was Brian Williams, would play that. I can't say the whole sing the whole song on this episode, but
well, maybe that's why my memory is not jogged.
Yeah, I will find it after the show.
All right.
If anybody listening was in playing Gears of War with us back in the day, they recognize that. I got to find it. But
I mean, Zach wasn't. He doesn't. So.
Well, not so far. I'm not very. I have a terrible musical memory, though.
Anyway, we'll get there next week. We're going to talk about profanity in games. How we feel about it. Does it bother us? Does it ever distract you from a game when there's just so much language? I want to talk about profanity in video games.
On a show where we don't have language, we're going to talk about language.
It should be an interesting topic.
It will be because people hear us on here may not think that we use colorful metaphors, but spoiler alert, guys, we do quite often.
My wife has been described by many people as a sailor.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna do that next week. Stay tuned to the social media outlets. We will be asking you guys for your thoughts on the use of profanity in video games. But that is going to do it for this week's The Gaming Outsider. Thank you so much for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns, unless you're trying to pitch me casino gambling things on my website. I'm not going to do it. No, I will not provide you a backlink. Stop it.
Balatro.
Zach, do you have any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
Yeah, dude. In the interest of the discussed Summerween, I watched the Friday the 13th reboot, I guess still the most recent Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing holds up. The movie's awesome.
I think we talked about this when we were doing Baldur's Gate. I don't know if I've seen all of those movies. I think I stopped at 3, like the original ones.
There's like 9 more after that. But,
I know. They get
they're a little samey, I guess, but they're always fun as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But the reboot is interesting because they like treat Jason like a thinking killer. He like hides bodies and lays traps and stuff. It's a different vibe, but nonetheless, very fun.
All right. How about you, Jacob?
If anyone still hasn't played it, Baldur's Gate 3 is a great game to play with your friends and then never talk about on the podcast. Which is weird because I was always giving Scott so much crap about talking about nothing but Baldur's Gate.
And now you're giving me crap about not talking about it.
Yeah, I gotta become.
It's just for the sake of Kevin.
I gotta be a better storyteller, man. I gotta write notes or something while we're playing.
Oh, dude, I started taking notes on our actual D&D campaign. Like I like on our D&D Beyond app, and I just take notes and so we can kind of recap because that just keeps me more engaged. That's a hilarious good time if you've been having some beverages. But
Sure.
I don't have anything new to recommend. I mentioned last week that I finished rereading Ready Player One. I just dove right back into Ready Player Two, which it's like the 3rd time I've listened to that book. I don't know why I keep listening to it because it's not as good as the original, but I still enjoyed it. But I'm going to make another recommendation of another one that I have recommended in the past, and that is Andy Weir's WEIR Project Hail Mary. This book is so freaking good, guys. I love this book. It's the same guy that wrote The Martian, which was made into a movie starring Matt Damon. And I've heard that they are making Project Hail Mary into a movie starring Ryan Gosling. I cannot confirm that for certain, but I believe this one is going to make a great movie. I just don't know how they're going to condense it down into a 2-hour movie because there's so much going on. I don't know if you've read it in Andy Weir book, but he goes into the nitty-gritty of the science and the measurements and things like that, but does it in a way that keeps you engaged and interesting, and it never feels like too much science. It's really, really good. Highly recommend Project Hail Mary. So
All right.
somebody please read it. It's really good.
Well, I had it on the queue from the library, and then I got laid off, and that was kind of my main audiobook listening station. So what are you going to do?
I guess you don't have, because now you have all the free time to play games.
Right. Well, yeah, it's hard to like, because when you're working, you're just obviously you're distracted doing stuff. So it's pretty easy to just have an audiobook on.
Right.
Yeah. Now I feel like now I can barely keep up with podcasts.
Yeah. I know the feeling, man. This summer, it's like, well, I mean, as of late, I've been doing a lot of work outside. So that's why I was able to finish 2.5 audiobooks in 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm just constantly doing it. So
there is not a summer where you don't do a lot of, since I have known you.
No, I'm talking about like during the school year. Like I'm relegated to, my drive to school, my drive from school, and mowing the lawn. Now I'm like always doing something that I've got time to listen to stuff. So there you have it. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us. As always, it's been a pleasure. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Jacob Gunderson, and we are the Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.